Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 4 of my best tips for tomorrow's race. And now before we get stuck into them, I quickly just want to recap on how our selections have performed today. In the end, it was a good day for us as we produced a 9-1 each way winner. We put up Majestic Noir as my long shot at Yarmouth today in the feature racer, the listed race. And it was a nice performance by the filly for Holly Doyle and John Gosden. We spoke about how good the form was at Longshot. We mentioned that it boosted a few subsequent winners in some decent races as well. It produced some good performances in some listed and Group 3 contests. So it definitely was probably one of the strongest pieces of form on offer in the race. And I think that kind of went undetected really. And also as well, the other angle I thought that would definitely, that made her a betting proposition was the fact that the way the race was going to be run. And she's a horse that likes to be handy, you know, she's always been up there in the running in all her races, you know, and I thought dropping back in trip was definitely a positive too. She probably just got done for stamina last time out when tackling a 1.5 miles, and the drop back to a trip where she's won on one at before was definitely a major factor in her victory today. And I just think that Holly Doyle, like I said, she got into a good position, you know, just tracking the pace, and in the end when she came to win her race, she obliged, and it was a very comfortable success in the end. So that was a good performance there, and we had a nice bit of profit with our 9-1 each way winner there. Now away from that, our nap and next best did disappoint for us today. We did put Matatham up as my next best at Sandown for William Haggis, and Jim Crowley was backed into even money favourite in the end. We actually put him up at 3-1, but in the end he could only finish in second place behind Posted, and we actually put up Posted as one of my eye catchers of the week last month, when we actually did put her up as an each way shout in a listed race. I think it was at Haydock, when she finished second to Voracious. And I definitely thought after that run that she was going to be winning anytime soon, but I didn't anticipate her to win against the boys. I thought she would be running against her own sex, and if she'd been running maybe in a fillies listed race or a fillies Group 3, might have been really interested in putting up Posted. But I thought she didn't have a chance in that race at Sandown today, but hey, what do I know? But Will Buick, you know, gave her a perfect run, and you needed to pretty much be making all the running today if you were to succeed at Sandown. It was very hard to come from off the pace. And that kind of was the way how it went with our nap as well, which ran at Sandown. Long-haired lover, Thrashing Murphy and James Fanshawe could only finish in 3rd place. But it kind of is a bit half full, half glass empty, that kind of expression with that tip. I think Oisin got her in a good position. You know, there's no excuses really. You could say she was given every chance. She had no traffic problems. She was up there at the pace, you know, and if she was good enough and had a good turn of foot, she should have probably gone and beaten the horses that finished ahead of her. However, like I said, it was very hard to come from off the pace today and pass those front runners. And like I said, unless you were setting the pace today, I don't think you were ever really going to have a hope in hell of actually winning the race, unless they went off way too hard, you know. But yeah, it was just the way the track was riding today. You needed to be handy, but Long-haired lover really couldn't show and boost that form at Kempton, which looked really strong in the context of the race with Bullfinch, and also as well the Burrows horse that went on to win. So yeah, a little bit disappointing there, but all in all, we've had a good day. We had a 9-1 winner. I'm not complaining about that, and I hope some of you were able to back it. So let's get into the tips for tomorrow, what you've all been waiting for. And we've got 4 selections tomorrow, and we're going to be kicking off in the 320 at Pontefract with a horse called Homespin for Franny Norton and Mark Johnson. You can currently back this horse at 8-1, and I'm going to recommend it tomorrow as my long shot each way. Now this horse, he's taken a little bit of a couple of runs to come to himself this season. In his first couple of starts, he didn't beat a single rival home. However, he was running in some hot 3-year-old handicaps that have been well advertised this season. However, last time out at Chelmsford, it was a bit more like it behind Gifts of Gold when he finished in 2nd place when tackling a 1.2 miles for the first time in his career. Now, he's by Speightstown, and if you actually look at his dam side of his pedigree, a lot of horses actually did stay this trip and were quite effective there. So going up in trip could be the making of him, and he could have a lot of untapped potential. Now, to finish 6 lengths behind Gifts of Gold, I don't actually think it's as bad as it sounds, even though he was well beaten. Gifts of Gold is a 100 rated plus horse on official ratings and had plenty of strong form and back class from last season. Was running out at the Winter Carnival in Dubai, had some good form as well in some of the big field handicaps last year at some of the major festivals, you know, so he's no mug, Gifts of Gold, and I just think this horse would have learnt a lot for that run that day, and it was definitely a very educational lesson for him. Now, he had some strong form, Homespin, as a juvenile. He won a good nursery at Glorious Goodwood, and I actually remember backing him that day. I'd had an awful week at Glorious Goodwood. I'd only had one winner, and I'd been on a little bit of a drought, but he pulled me out of a hole. I remember having a big bet on him at 7-1, and he definitely saved my week that week. And he was always a horse that I thought would do better as a 3-year-old, but like I said, it's taken him a little bit of time to come to the bull, and I think if he replicates that run at Chelmsford tomorrow, he's a bang contender. Now, he's got a good draw tomorrow in stall form. We know he likes to run prominently, and the way that Pontefract normally rides, I often think it definitely suits horses that race prominently. So I could just see this setting up very nicely tomorrow under Franny Norton, setting the pace, dictating the sectionals, and if he can judge it to perfection, I think he's got a cracking chance of being there or thereabouts in the finish. So Homespin for me at 8-1. I think he's a bit of a big price there, and for me, he's going to be my long shot of the day. We then go with my next best, which runs in the 440 at Yarmouth with a horse called Saariyah, I think that's how you pronounce it, for Will Buick and Simon and Ed Crisford, who are in red hot form at the moment, I should say. They're having so many winners left, right and centre, and this horse has been unlucky so far in her career. She's hit the crossbar a couple of times, and she did it last time on her most recent start at Newbury when finishing second to a horse of Andrew Bolden's called Alcohol Free. Now, that horse, Alcohol Free, went on to finish second in a Group 3, the Group 3 Dick Pool Stakes at Salisbury behind Happy Romance, and we know how well the form behind Happy Romance has worked out this season, and I just think that was actually quite a warm contest last time at Newbury. And even though this is a nice looking nursery tomorrow, you know, with some powerful yards represented, I think on what we've seen so far, her form makes her head and shoulders above this field, you know. And even though she has been well found in the market, you know, tomorrow at 11-10, I still think that's not bad value, and I think she will go odds on tomorrow. Now, she's rated 78 currently, but she's due to go up £3, so you could argue that, well, you can argue that she's £3 well in. And I just think it's not my most original selection ever, but this horse is a very solid proposition in this race tomorrow. And if you wanted to stick her maybe in a double with something, I would definitely recommend you to. So that's just going to be my next best selection there. We then go with my nap, which runs in the next race at Yarmouth in the 5-10 with a horse called Hamish Macbeth for Ryan Moore and Hugo Palmer. You can currently back him at 4-1. And I think that's definitely a fair bit of value there. And I'm going to recommend a win-only bet. Now, I think he's been running not too badly this season, and especially as well, he's been showing a little bit in his last couple of starts. Now, he finished in 4th place last time when we saw him at Ascot, and it's just taken him a while, I think, to come to the bull. And Hugo Palmer's horses have been running quite inconsistently this season. However, in the last couple of weeks, things just seem to have clicked. You know, they've had a winner. They had a winner for us. They've had a few winners, I should say, and they had a winner for us at Kempton the other day with a horse called Lovely Breeze, you know. So I think their horses are running better. Hamish Macbeth, he looked like he was going to be a smart horse for this season. He's ran okay, but maybe not up to the hopes they had for him. He won very well in a race at Salisbury, and I remember backing him there that night, even though he was odds on. I remember having quite a big bet on him. But Hamish Macbeth, he looked very promising last season. He finished third in the sales race at the Curragh, you know, the valuable one on Irish Champions weekend. So he had a lot of form going for him last season, but I think tomorrow this is a winnable race for him. He's off a mark of 85. He gets a 3-year-old allowance, and some of these sprinters, they're not coming in here in the best of form tomorrow, you know, and they've got a lot to prove. And I think over 6 furlongs, the way this horse likes to run, he normally likes to be up there the pace. It could just develop very nicely for him tomorrow. And I think Ryan Moore, I often say he's not one of my favourite jockeys, but I think when he's at his best, he's normally up there with the pace, you know, and he's quite good at tracking it or setting his own fractionals, you know. And I think if he can get it, this horse up the front tomorrow, if he can get Hamish Macbeth up there with the pace. I think he's got a very good chance on him tomorrow, and I wouldn't be at all surprised come post time if he went off favourite. I could see him maybe shortening up a little bit, maybe 3 to 1, 11 4, 5 2, that kind of price mark. You know, I could see there being a bit of money for him tomorrow, and I think Hamish Macbeth is a fair bet to have tomorrow, and that's why he's going to be my nap. We then end with my final selection, which runs in the 6 o'clock at Chelmsford on the all-weather with a horse called Shimmering Dawn for PJ McDonald and James Tate. Now, this is going to be my extra tip tomorrow. You can currently back him at 5 to 1, and I'm going to recommend a win-only bet. Now, this horse has been a little bit out of sorts on her most recent starts when she's been running in a couple of Group 3s, which, to be fair, were very warm contests for the grade. However, on a seasonal reappearance, though, she did show a little bit of she did show a little bit of ability to finish in 2nd place at Kempton. And if you go back through her form last season, she was very progressive. She's got a good course record at Chelmsford. She's won twice over the course and distance, and she's finished 2nd and 4th when she hasn't won. So she's definitely got a good record here. And the handicapper hasn't dropped her at all for her most recent runs, and she's still going to be running in a handicap tomorrow off a mark of 94. And again, I don't think this is the strongest race in the world. And James Tate's horses, he's a trainer I normally like to back, but I've been staying away from him the majority of the time this season because his horses just haven't been running well. However, in the last couple of weeks, like I mentioned with Hugo Palmer, they've just started to show that maybe they're turning a little bit of a corner. And I just think Shimmering Dawn, she's got a lot of back class from last season, and she's got a good strong course record at Chelmsford. She's had a little bit of a break, which might have just freshened her up a little bit. And if she can replicate her form from last season, I think she's a big price in this field at 5 to 1, and she shouldn't be underestimated. And I'm going to put her up as my final bet and my extra tip of the day tomorrow. So they're the 4 tips for tomorrow's horse racing. Quickly just run through them. In the 3:20 at Pontefract, we go with Homespin, 8 to 1 each way is my long shot. In the 4:40 at Yarmouth, we go with Saariyah, it'll be written in the description box below, as my next best at 11 to 10 win only bet. The nap is in the 5:10 at Yarmouth, 4 to 1 win only bet, and then my extra tip is in the 6 o'clock at Chelmsford with Shimmering Dawn, 5 to 1 win only bet, and that rounds things off for tomorrow's racing. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button for more videos here on my YouTube channel. Also as well, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do, where my handle is at LuckyLoader15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, why don't you check out my website, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.